Oh boy. Okay, so 2 weeks after giving birth, I returned to LA for my first work trip.
Wow.
Um, and I will say I felt a million times better doing this trip on the airplane and everything than I did that last month being pregnant doing it. So I felt great. Pumping was an absolute shit show. If
Yeah.
anyone has any tips for how to do it gracefully on a long flight, not spending the night, literally going and returning the same day, like please slide into my DMs. I welcome everything. I ended up tossing 20 ounces of milk that day because
Oh my God.
my parts weren't like I couldn't fully remember how to use my on the go pump. So like parts weren't working. I was doing it in the bathroom and I was like, this cannot be I didn't trust that the milk was good. It was like a whole thing. So there was that. But a few things happened on this trip that are worth discussing. A baby was crying on my flight, leaked everywhere. Like drenched shirt, drenched, fully drenched just from hearing another baby cry. And I forgot that that happens. Like
Isn't
that
nature
happens.
wild? Like nature is yeah.
I was literally like, hand me your baby so I can relieve myself. Please, like, just I will feed your child. It would actually be a
Ugh.
service to me. So there was that. Forgot that that was a thing. And then the other thing is on the way home, I was editing our last episode, which if you and please go listen. Katie and I talk about Kaya's first birthday. We talk about Colin's birth story. It's a really, I thought, very sweet episode. Um, but I shared something very personal on that episode that
Ooh.
I shat on the table, and that I know for a fact I pooped because, well, listen to the episode and I'll tell you how I knew for a fact I pooped. But I go into great detail about it. And I edited that episode on the flight home. What I didn't realize is that my AirPods were not connected. I had them in my ears and I was like, gosh, this just doesn't sound that loud, but maybe it's just the plane is loud. I was blasting.
You were that person on the
I was
plane.
blasting that part of the episode.
Did people look at you? Were they like, lady, let's fix the earbud situation, the AirPod
Like,
bitch?
I wish someone had. I mean, perhaps I just was oblivious to it. I was exhausted. And, like, again, just at one point, I just was pumping and dumping. So I was focused on that a lot. Literally, talk. It's me. You can see me on my computer. Everyone who's watching is just, I shat on the table and you going, let's normalize pooping on the table. So Uh, this has happened to me before, but this was by far the most embarrassing. A
Right.
flight full of like teenagers and middle-aged men. They don't get it. These are not the people I want to be telling I pooped on the table. I want to tell other women, you're not alone. I pooped on. So that was embarrassing. But
Oh,
all in all, it was a good work trip. It went well. I had a lot of anxiety about it. I cried the night before. Shout out to all the women who have to return to work early, who don't get maternity leave, who, um, are just traveling and being a mom. It's all just so hard and we make it work.
incredible to me that you were able to get on a flight 2 weeks postpartum because our uteruses are not done healing at that point. I saw an Instagram the other day that was like, you have a dinner plate sized wound in you after you give birth that doesn't heal for quite some time. And also, like, definitely the first 6 to 8 weeks, I believe, like, you're still contracting.
Yeah.
So the fact you were able to do that and that your doctor cleared that, I just am in awe of you.
Oh.
Second, repumping. I remember when I think I was 7 weeks postpartum, I went to the ERAS tour and
Oh
had to
yeah.
pump. And when you go to the ERAS tour, it's like a whole shebang, right? Like, it was far away. We had to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours. You want to get there early to kind of experience and like immerse yourself in everything going on. And then the show itself is like 3.5 hours. And then it's also like getting out of the stadium. So I was gone, I think, for 10 hours, which is kind of like what you did.
Yeah.
And I remember having to bring 2 sets of pump parts, a handheld pump. I
Uh-huh.
had to pick the songs I was going to pump to.
Was it okay,
I'm sorry,
which songs were you
Marjorie. I'm sorry,
eh,
Marjorie, no disrespect.
I was
We
gonna
love
ask, which
Marjorie.
songs were you okay missing?
Yeah. Well, I really wanted to be done pumping by the time champagne problems came on.
Mm.
And so I kind of really like timed it out fairly. I mean, I was still there. I pumped fully like in the stadium, but I felt like that was an appropriate song to sit down to as opposed to like stand and scream my lungs out. So I would recommend next time 3 different pump sets. The cooler bag is what I had to bring into the stadium with like a million ice packs so that the milk did stay good. And I remember I pumped in the parking lot during the show and then on the way home. That was like my schedule. It's hard. It's like you want to enjoy, like for you, it's like you want to maybe like be present for work. I wanted to be present for this concert, but you're pumping, which is like all your brain power goes to like the pumping and making sure it's like going and then pouring it and making sure it's closed properly and making sure it's on ice. There's just a lot of brain power that I don't think people understand until they're in that situation. So
It's crazy.
kudos to you. But 3 pump
Yeah,
parts.
I brought so I have the Willow and I brought 4 different
Oh, you
sets.
had 4 sets.
I had 4 because I was like, "I'm not gonna be able to wash these to a place where I feel like they're fully sanitary."
Yeah.
So, I brought 4, and I brought them all in individual Ziploc bags so I could put them back in those bags when they were dirty, like, keep everything separate. I had a hand pump, and it just, like, nothing went the way it was supposed to.
Mhm.
It was fine. I look like Dolly Parton. Like, my tits looked huge. It's actually a joke. I actually, you know what? I'm gonna post it to our Instagram page just to show you. The ads for these, like, portable pumps make it seem like you can do yoga while
No.
pumping
No, no,
and
no, 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 no.
cartwheels, and let me tell you, people were looking at me because it looks like I'm a full-chested woman when I'm wearing them. It's insane. I will post it to Instagram so you can see it. It was crazy. I will say I am so grateful to have work, to be able to be at work. They've been really, really supportive of me all along, but it is just hard, It's like that those 2 things can exist at the same time where you're sad to leave your baby, but grateful to have work? We did it, and as for that, dinner plate convo, that is so true. So I asked t that dinner plate wound is from where your placenta was,
Yeah.
and, we birth our placenta, and both times I've given birth, I've asked to see it. It is huge,
I'm
like,
gonna
it is
ask this time. I'm gonna
you
ask.
should. You should, because it's amazing. Like, it is the only time a human grows and discards a organ.
My baby's kicking right now at the thought, I think.
Yeah. She's like, "This is gross
She's
or
like,
awesome."
"No, no placenta viewing."
Yeah. Yeah. No, you should see it because, like, when else are you
Wow.
going to? But I'm saying it is huge.
Uh,
It's bigger than a dinner. Mine was bigger than a dinner plate, like, gigantic. And you should also ask, like, the sack is still attached, and they can show you, like, where it popped, like, where the hole is. So they can, like, kinda
Oh,
put their hand in it and show
okay,
you.
don't freak me out.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome, Katie. It's like the human body is incredible. That's, like, why even though you're having a C-section, you'll still bleed for 6 weeks because there's a wound internally
Mm,
that's, like, why we bleed,
wow.
So it
Our
doesn't matter if you give
bodies
birth. Yeah, it's crazy.